The burning of headscarves has been an act of defiance for those pushing back against Iran's stifling regime. It has also emboldened others to push for real political change in the country.
It's truly a revolution, first of its kind in the world, led by women. Right now, the demand on the streets, when they chant death to the dictator, is a clear message to the whole world. We had enough with these people. We want to get rid of them. We want a different future and a different system.
Reza Pahlavi is the son and heir of the last Shah of Iran, who was overthrown in the Iranian Revolution in 1979 after growing political unrest. People deeply unhappy with his dictatorship. Protest was part of that revolution too, as was death and violence. But Reza Pahlavi believes the bravery from the people this time around is unflinching.
Look, there's nothing new to totalitarian system trying to impose their will by intimidation and threat and terror tactics. And yet, they choose to continue the fight. Means that we are willing to pay with our lives, even face torture and execution.
Do you not have any fear? Do you not fear for your own life, your family's?
The question is it in vain or is it for a purpose? It's always been for a purpose. Therefore, I'm not afraid and I'm willing to risk my life if so needed. But we need to win. We need to win this fight. Our ask to the outside world is, are you this time on the right side of history with us against a common enemy? Or are you going to still be away from us and leave us alone in this fight?
The Prince is in Europe to urge leaders to help his campaign for a secular, democratic Iran.
Right now, do you think that the West is doing enough?
The regime is testing. It has always tested the Western resolve to stand firm vis-a-vis them. And every time the West has stood firm vis-a-vis them, they've backtracked. And every time that you show laxity or hesitation or weakness, they have taken every advantage of it. We want the West to be at its strongest as opposed to at its weakest. We want to succeed without having to have recourse to other remedies that are much less desirable.
Can you see this progressing to a real conflict, a war?
I'm afraid it becomes more plausible. As much as it's undesirable, it becomes more plausible. It will be historically criminal not to at least give this process a chance. Now, an opportunity to finally bring this regime down to its knees. That's what I'm pleading for the sake of humanity and for the sake of avoiding escalation of conflict.
For the past 4 decades, autocratic clerical leaders have been in control. With the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC as their enforcers.
Putting the IRGC on the terrorist list means more assets could be frozen, more assets could be confiscated. And that can, by itself, generate more means to support the Iranian people more directly.
Reza, do you believe in your heart that the moment is now and that you can bring them to their knees?
I do. All the stars are aligned. You have the people on the street. You have the intelligentsia within Iran who believe in a secular model. So basically the regime is completely in total atrophy. After 40 years of life under a religious dictatorship, an Iranian nation today understands the importance of the concept of separation of church from state as a prerequisite to democracy.
It is women's rights that are also at the core of this uprising. After Mahsa Amini died in police custody, arrested for not wearing her headscarf properly.
You have 3 daughters, and albeit they have grown up in the West, do they wear a headscarf?
Oh my God, if I ever caught them wearing a headscarf, or better yet, if they ever thought that I expected them to wear a headscarf, there'll be pandemonium in my house. No, it's a choice at the end of the day. Now in the future, if people have a particular persuasions according to their faith, that should be completely a choice. But it should not be in any form or shape a symbol of assimilation or subjugation or imposition of anything. If the fact that a headscarf or the non-proper use of it has created a revolution, then it will tell you how meaningful that very thing is. It has become a symbol of defiance or a rejection of a system.
The exiled crown prince wants to help guide the transition to a new system in Iran.
Your Highness, a new Iran, a change in your country. Are you part of that solution?
Well, I'm not gunning for any kind of position, and I have to play an institutional role or to be preoccupied by the daily governance of the country. That's not really my cup of tea.
What is your cup of tea?
People have been traumatized because they've been consistently lied to, abused, intimidated, and the trust in any apparatus of state has totally been destroyed in our society. Building back trust and confidence takes time. That's my cup of tea. That's the part that I would like to come in and help with.
You're a man of 62 years. You've lived outside of Iran for more than 40
2/3 of my life.
of those years. When you go to bed at night, what is the dream?
What I've always stated in 40 years and counting as my only mission in life is to see to it that Iranians get their chance to vote their future through the ballot box. And if we achieve that, that's where I would say, check mark, check the box of the dream you asked for.
A prince's hand now strengthened by a generation of Iranians wanting a different future.